Good morning, everybody, from Toyama, Japan. Today, I thought I would take us through this area. I believe it's called Higashiwase Machi. I happened to stumble across these beautiful, beautiful back streets that in some ways almost look like the post towns of Narayajuku and Tsumagojuku. And I just felt like I absolutely had to come out here and share it with you guys. It is currently exactly 7 a.m. as we take this walk. And it's going to be a nice, peaceful, chill morning walk in contrast to our last big walk, which was out in Kagoshima with Mitch. Now, one thing that actually surprises me, and you'll see it right out of the gate on this stream, is the number of cars that actually drive down this road. I happened to stumble across this beautiful, beautiful area. Also, for the car people, there's an RX-8 right there. Yesterday, as I came out here to meet a new shamisen maker and visit their shop for the very first time and put together a video for the TOKYOLENS channel, which I will link up above and in the description. And the day itself was pretty busy, so I didn't have that much time to do exploring. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to come back this morning. We're going to take a nice peaceful walk through the area, do a bit of exploring together, and kind of experience this area as a whole for the first time together. So again, in contrast to the previous walking video with Mitch, which was just information heavy, that was so exciting. If you haven't seen that, that'll also be linked pretty much everywhere, where he took us through the area of Kagoshima. We went from the mountains and somehow ended up on a volcano. This is going to be more of a relaxing, chill walk through this area. There's plenty of these little back side streets that we'll slip down and explore and just do a little exploration together. A nice, relaxing morning walk at 7 a.m. A lot of people say, well, why aren't the shops open? And more often than not, it's simply on account of how early in the morning it is. Now, this particular area here is one of the more traditional areas in Toyama City. Just like over here, you've got this building that's basically overgrown and just been taken back. This is actually really evenly and beautifully done. I want to get a little closer to this. I haven't had the opportunity to do any of the exploring here. So you've got this entire building here has just been taken back by the ivy, completely overgrown. No windows, no doors. Look at this. This is really something else. We get to experience this whole space together today for the first time. I'm gonna quietly sneak in here just because this space, this area, looks really beautiful. Everything here is overgrown. This is gonna be the back of somebody's shop, so I don't want to go too far in, but I do want to see if there's a door or anything to this place. Like, look at that, nothing. What a gorgeous, gorgeous space. And there are some bricks going for a swim. Now, the area of Toyama, if you were to ask Japanese people, is really well known for its car culture. In fact, a couple months back maybe, I did a video where I got to come out to the factory of BBS Japan, and they're the Japan arm of BBS, globally one of the biggest car rim or wheel makers that there is. And that was out here in Toyama, and it seemed just like a very appropriate setting for I guess, car stuff. This street during the daytime is actually filled with some really lovely shops that run the gamut from sake shops all the way up to like senbei and dango and all the food stuffs that you could possibly want. And a lot of sake shops will have, let's see if we can get the light balance, these giant balls right here. Now these, when they're green, usually represent that the fresh sake has come in for the year and is available. And it's something they used to do a lot more than they currently do. Just to say, hey, the fresh sake is in. If you want to try it, great. Toyama has some really spectacular sake makers as well. Now, I came out here because for the last year or so, Kiki, the two shamisen players that I work with, I've been helping them produce their online shamisen lessons. Now, these shamisen lessons are something that they've wanted to do since we did our trip together to Canada, something like back in 2019. And we held a workshop out there and a lot of people came out. We had so much fun with it. And they said, we want to teach more. We want to keep doing this. So we created these online shamisen lessons. And in order to do that, if you've followed any of my shamisen content, you'll know that the shamisen can be quite an expensive instrument. And so we found a shamisen maker where we could source much more affordable shamisen. And that shamisen maker is out here in Toyama. We promised them that someday we would come out and visit, check out their workshop, check out the store itself, get to know them and spend a little time together. And here we are a couple months later doing exactly that. And today is actually our last, it's a narrow alley. Let's go check it out. We'll be able to loop back. This is really, really bright though. Wow. And today is our last day in the area of Toyama. So I thought I would wake up early, do a little bit of exploring in the area around the shamisen shop. Actually, pretty near to the corner where this video starts is where the shamisen shop itself is. And I got to spend some time around there yesterday, but didn't really get to see anything else. So, look at this. These super narrow back alley streets, just crammed with houses, is something that I just never, ever tire of. Okay, we're gonna loop around, I think, and come back that way. I want to get back to this main street because there's just so much to see on it. So I'm going to pick up the pace just a little bit. What? Is that a Porsche? I don't want to get too close because this is clearly somebody's property, but that is a really cute little car. I'm pretty sure that's a Porsche. It says Porsche on the front. That is super neat. I've actually always wanted like a really traditional style Japanese home that has like a wall and a garden built around it. But one of the downsides of Japanese homes, for all the beauty and everything, is that the uptake and upkeep, all the care for Japanese houses can be quite extensive and over time can get quite costly. So back onto the main street here. I've heard that this area is one of stark contrast because while right now you see Ohayou gozaimasu, while right now you see all these beautiful, beautiful buildings, actually if you go behind here, very much of this area is factory based. This area is a heavy production area, so there are scrap yards and factories and everything all around here. Like these are all factory and office buildings and all that. This whole area over here is industrial. And then crammed in the middle of this industrial area is this beautiful, beautiful little town and set of streets. And so far out in Toyama, the vast majority of people have been very friendly. Like this gentleman here, who, as I walked by and smiled, quickly greeted me with an "Ohayo gozaimasu," which I'm sure you know by this point means good morning. But look at the front of these buildings. Look at this. Ah, I just love it so much. And attached off the side of here, when I looked on Google Maps, are little sets of parks, like the one over there. We're definitely gonna have to loop back and come down along that side, I think. I feel like there's a lot of really nice little narrow roads. I don't know how far this goes. I was very tempted to put up the drone and fly it, but when you're flying a drone in Japan, one of the first things that, I guess when you're flying a drone anywhere, one of the first things that you do is you open up the DJI No Fly app. And in the DJI No Fly app, you can see if you're in an area that's okay to fly, if you're near an airport, if you're in a red zone. And in a red zone, it's usually a highly populated area, so you can't fly. And unfortunately, this is right on the edge of the red zone with an airport nearby. So there will be no flying of drones here. This building here is one of particular interest to me because the thatching on the side of the walls here, on this side you have a very traditional Japanese look, and then over here you have almost like a Western look to it, and they're just split right down there in the middle with the Western style gate. It's just a very interesting mix of building stuck between all these others. And originally Kiki and I were going to shoot a bit of a music video on this street out here. We had even managed to talk to a couple shops, get to know a couple people, and we're gonna secure approval so we could just stand in a spot like this and have the girls play a song. And then we realized that, especially during the daytime, it is just non-stop traffic, which is another reason why I've come out super early in the morning. And I stopped there because over to the right here, I found this big, beautiful temple, again, hidden within the midst of all of this. And so, seeing with all the car traffic, we didn't want to hold up traffic, get in anybody's way, or have the girls get run over. So we kind of gave up on this spot and made our videos in other places. There might still be a couple people out there who don't know that my original YouTube channel is called Shamisen in Tokyo, and it's where I put up music videos of the shamisen girls Kiki playing. Look at this space. I actually really like the bell tower over there. There's always been something about temples and shrines early on in the morning, the peaceful atmosphere. Every now and then you arrive and they're playing the taiko drums. And if you ever have a chance to go in, they often have hallways like this, which are lined with windows on the side. And you can walk through. A lot of temples offer different type of experiences that you can come out and do. And if you ever have the opportunity, you can find some of them online, but some of them you just have to go up to the temple and say, hey, do you have any maybe meditation experiences or, writing experiences? Some will even allow you to stay overnight in a temple. And I've never done it, and it's something that I think we're definitely going to have to do at some point, is stay overnight at a Japanese temple just for the sake of the experience. There is a monk that I befriended a couple months back, and he's by far one of the top 5 interesting humans that I've ever met in my life. While being a monk, there are some things about him that just make him so unique that I've never heard of. Ohayou gozaimasu. Where we've been looking for the opportunity to do a project together. He's a little far from Tokyo, so as soon as the opportunity comes up, we'll be doing that. Wow, look at this. I love the mix of architecture here. Like inside of here, you have the very traditional Japanese sliding doors and wood paneling. But then the way the front, the foyer area, if you will, is created just has this Western edge to it. But then again, with the Japanese roofs up above. One of the other interesting things about areas like this is that more often than not, they decided to really solidify the look of the town far after, how can I put it, far after a lot of the buildings were built. So every now and then you'll get a building like this, like the post office here, that just, it doesn't match whatsoever. But there are other buildings like this, you just can't tell because a lot of them will have a front built onto the building to match the area more. And so some of these buildings, when they open up their shutters, you can actually see there's literally just been a front built on to the building. And then inside is just a normal shop that looks very similar to the post office that we had there. Is this another temple? I feel like we're just gonna end up going down every single little side street that we find, and I'm completely okay with that. What is this? Very interesting. Got a bit of a fireplace going on there. These super early morning walks give me an opportunity to explore and kind of wake up at the same time. And I've long been on the fence, actually since starting the TOKYOLENS Explore channel, as to whether it's better to do these walks like this, where I pre-record them that way. I don't have to worry about things like signal strength and everything like that, or whether we do them live. You see, the pre-recording, we don't have to worry about signal strength. We don't have to worry about it cutting out or anything like that. And it's just boom, it's there. I don't have to worry about anything. I can upload it when we have time, hang out in the premiere and chat. Whereas the live streams, they're really fun and interactive. I can answer questions, and when you guys say, hey, go down that street, I want to see more of that, we can do that, and I always really enjoy that. But sometimes the 720p quality of the mobile live streaming just really takes it out of me. We did a beautiful, beautiful walk in the morning out in Kagoshima, and our guide Alex was very, very knowledgeable and shared so much with us. It was one of the most beautiful spaces I've had the opportunity to walk through and share on the TOKYOLENS Explore, let alone the TOKYOLENS channel. But watching it back kind of broke my heart in a small way because of the quality of the 720p. So I'd love it if in the comments section of this, not just in the chat, but in the actual comments section of this video, if you could chime in and let me know which one you enjoy more. I'm sure that either way, I will continue to do a mix of both the live streams in 720p in all of their glory, as well as these 4K walks. So as we come up to here, we've got a bit of a crossroads, and there's a bit of a map. And okay, so Iwase Omachi Nikawacho Street. There we go. Iwase Canal Hall, Iwase Hama Station, and the Toyama Port Observatory. Now the observatory itself doesn't open up until 9 a.m., but this, you can see where we are. And the observatory is right up here. That opens from about 9 a.m. if my research serves me correctly. And on the other side of this river here and beyond It's totally drone's okay. So I could have spliced some drone footage into this if this town was just a little bit over. But let's do a little more exploring. Look at this. I don't even know which way I want to go. Okay, eventually we're going to make our way down this way. There are so many. Okay, you know what? I feel like you guys are saying let's go this way. So this is the way we're going to go. I will follow the requests that I'm feeling from you. If I got that completely and utterly wrong, I'm sorry. The observatory, you can actually see the top of it up there. The building itself is potentially underwhelming. I don't know. I really like how it looks, but it seems like the inside would just be your very standard glass build observatory. I thought if we came out this way, we might be able to get a peek at the Toyama port up here along the Sea of Japan. Again, as soon as we get out here, you can just see how industrial the area is, and there are spots like this too. Like, you would almost think that this factory space is abandoned, but it's not. As I drove by here the other day, there was just people working right in there. They had the gates open, they're working away. I love this. Is just piecework together. They're like, you know what, we need doors, but we're just gonna stick some stuff to some other stuff and we'll make some doors. There it is. And you can see the port out there. Again, a very, very industrial area. Got the dump trucks out here. Now, every single time that I see dump trucks, all I can think of is my time out on Sakurajima. Oh, good morning, NSX. There we go. I often think of how beautiful and peaceful it would be to live in a house just like this one here, surrounded by a wall, garden, greenery, beautiful trees. But people who live in places like this often have to have actual gardeners come out and take care of the trees, because it's not super easy to get up there, and apparently it can be very, very costly. I was talking to a gentleman maybe a year or two ago who I would say owned a land about the size of this house and quite potentially a comparable number of trees, and he said that the gardening work he paid for was something like $4,000 a year just to take care of the trees and the garden. He did basic stuff himself, and then to have all the trees taken care of was the expensive end. And we've come across a shrine. I think we went the right way, guys. But that's very, very pricey yearly just to have some trees cut and taken care of. He said they don't really need to be cut, but if you want to maintain the beauty of how they look, they need to be taken care of. And the older he got, the harder it got to get up on a ladder and do it himself. And so he pays for it. Just a shrine in the morning. Everything overgrown in the back. That house is basically falling apart. Look at this. Now this particular trip out to Toyama has been a rather brief one. A total of, let's walk over here a little bit, a total of only 3 days. Left Tokyo at something like 7 o'clock in the morning, 2-3 days ago, and drove out here. Got lucky with traffic, so it was only about 5.5, maybe 6 hours. Oh, what is this? I can't get through. There's no way I'm getting through, but I'm loving this tree. Something about this tree just screams the tree from Totoro to me. Honestly, even so, I get a lot of the why do you have so much love for abandoned places and broken down places? And it's because even broken down buildings, even buildings with like collapsed roofs in spaces like this with the ivy overgrown, there's just something so intrinsically beautiful about them that I can't get over. While I was on Sakurajima, I did some exploration of an abandoned hotel that was in there, and I ended up in a day where it was just heavy rain, and the rain was on and off. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take this time to do a little indoor exploring. And when I talked to Mitch later on that evening, he's like, how did you spend your day? And I said, I spent about half of it in the abandoned hotel, just doing a bunch of exploring. And he's like, what is it with you in the abandoned places? And I don't know, I just absolutely love them. The abandoned places, the camping, these are all things that recently have made Japan really fun for me, especially the camping side of things. I had taken a break from camping for so many years. I used to camp a lot with my family when I was back in Canada, and then I would do camping with university friends every year. And okay, let's go up this way. I was like, we could go that way, and maybe eventually we will, but for now I want to explore this way. I just feel there is adventure to be had. Camping used to be such a regular part of my yearly life. I was going to say daily life, but you don't go camping daily. And I missed out on it for probably the better part of a decade when I moved out here to Japan, and it wasn't until a year or two ago that I got back into doing regular camping. And I'm really so glad that I did, because camping in Japan is just so peaceful and fun, and there's such a variety of different campsites. There are free campsites that are in absolute middle of nowhere where the roads are dangerous and they're hard to get to. There are free campsites that are basically just a parking lot at the top of a mountain. There are paid campsites where you're like, I'm paying for this is the, and then there's glamping, and there's everything in between. If you don't know what glamping is, it's like glamorous camping. So I think a lot of Japanese tend to do more glamping style stuff. It's very popular in Japan, where they will rent out like a cabin, almost like a chalet, if you will, and hang out, and they have all the amenities and everything provided to them. And it's a very, very popular style. I've had a couple companies reach out and be like, hey, would you like to come out and do glamping? But I enjoy the actual camping side of things so much that I tend to just default to doing that if I have the time. Mind you, for some people who do a lot of nature camping, my style of camping, like going out with a tent and having a bit of food with you and staying at an official campsite that has a washroom, they'll be like, now there's a washroom there, you're glamping. They sold you wood, you're glamping. You didn't have to cut down a tree and wrestle a bear with your own hands for survival and food. You're definitely glamping. I think camping means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but I think it's just really interesting that it's something that you can enjoy globally. And we're out here by the river now. The camping in Japan, because it comes in so many shapes and forms, I feel is something that anyone who's ever wanted to try camping can do. If you do decide to try it, I would highly recommend going out to the area of Nagano, simply because Nagano has so many campsites. It is the highest, is the most densely populated in terms of campsite area in Japan. How would you say that? Why is English never a thing for me when I do these morning walks? You got the tetrapods down here. That whole factory area there is overgrown. Amazingly, again, it looks like it's abandoned, but clearly it's still being used. You can see equipment and everything set up inside. There's this beautiful orange bridge over here. There is honestly so much exploring to be done. And I'm 99.9% sure that I locked the car as I got out here, but the further I get from the car, like the more nervous I get. I'm like, I did lock it, right? I did lock it. It's like leaving the house and being like, did I turn the stove off? You got those vibes. The last couple days that we've been here, it has been pretty much just clouds and rain. We've managed every single time we wanted to make a video with Kiki, we managed to get half decent weather, which has been really lucky, and I feel very fortunate about that. The rain would just stop for a minute and be like, okay, go ahead, make your video. And as soon as we'd finish, it would be like, okay, I'm gonna rain again now. You guys good? So today being the last day, I feel very fortunate to get to experience some beautiful blue skies out here in Toyama. Let's walk up to the bridge a bit and see what kind of view we get from here. You get the power lines overhead here, super safe. You just swing on them if you want. That's the safe thing to do. It's a very interesting placement for tetrapods here along the river. Also, you are most certainly not getting through this river on a tall boat. You would definitely need a really short boat. Gentlemen out here doing some morning fishing. And again, just the whole area is spectacularly beautiful. I have yet to find an area, though, in all fairness, in Japan that just makes me go, nah, not this area. This place is just gross. I don't want to be here. No. In terms of like general, every now and then you'll find a spot that, like, I think a lot of people who come out here, especially a lot of people who live in Tokyo, are like, yeah, you know, Ikebukuro is an interesting area. It's got some cool stuff, but it's always got that smell to it, right? But outside of that, I don't think I've come across an area in Japan that wasn't in some way visually appealing to me. You don't get tired of it, and that's something I'm super grateful for, even after well over a decade of being in the country, to still get to be this excited and happy just to take a morning walk and just explore an area. This is something that I've actually done in most areas that I go to. I just kind of take a bit of a morning walk. More often than not, I'll listen to a podcast or just enjoy the sounds of nature. I would even do it in the rain sometimes and just take an umbrella, go for a walk. And that was one of the things that made me think, I really want to share these walks. I always come across really beautiful places, and there's so much that gets cut out of the edited videos that if I could come out and just do a full walk and just share everything I see with you guys, it'd be a lot of fun, especially considering the fact that more often than not, we do these walks super early in the morning, like 5, 6, 7 a.m. It's kind of my way of waking up and getting the day started. I'm really grateful that I can bring you guys along and have this much fun with it. But honestly, I'm on the fence. Or should we do more 720p live streams, or should we do more of these 4K walks with a premiere? What do you think? Let me know in the actual comments more than in the chat. That way I can see it after the video's done. I have been enjoying the premieres, but as I said, either way we're going to continue to do both. It's just in terms of which way we lean. Just taking a peek inside someone's garage. I can't tell you how nice it is just to have the blue skies today. Kind of feel like I probably should have brought sunscreen. We'd planned this out maybe about a month ago, and when we planned it out, as with many projects, we try to aim for a time where hopefully we'll have half decent weather. And at the time, it looked like rainy season should be over and we should have good weather up here in Toyama. And then 3 days before we left for here, we looked at the weather and we were like, oh no, it's gonna be terrible weather the entire time. And we contacted the shamisen shop, Dakuya, here in Toyama. And we said, okay, we're still gonna come out, but we may end up having more time to spend with you than we initially anticipated because it looks like the weather is gonna be pretty bad. And he laughed and he's like, yeah, the weather in Toyama always looks like it's gonna be bad, but it never is. And when we asked, well, what do you mean? He said, well, more often than not, the Toyama weather report, being along the Sea of Japan, will show that the weather is going to be bad. It'll say that it's going to be rain and clouds and thunderstorms, and just our daily weather says that. But you might get 10-15 minutes of that a day, and then the rest of the time it just clears up, or it doesn't rain, or you end up somehow getting blue skies while the weather report says it should be raining. So we got lucky. Never been to a place like that. I kind of like it. You never know what to expect. Okay, so up here, Iwase Hama Station would be back that way, and then the street we just came from is back that way. So let's head down this street here. I'm sure we'll still stumble across some little shrines and temples and everything like that in the back. In fact, that right there, that looks like a temple. And if you want to buy some land here in Toyama, this is your spot. You can just buy that. You can park your car there, build a house, do whatever you want. That's something that if it ever became an option, just buying a plot of land and building a home, that would be fun. And when I say building a home, I don't know about you, but ever since I was young, like honestly, elementary school, grade school level, I've always had a dream of someday designing and building my own house, but doing so with secret passageways in the walls, like secret doors that open up, that connect one room to another. Look at that. I'm very tempted to go down this way, but I know we came from this way, so we're gonna keep going this way for now. But secret passageways, hidden little rooms, you know, maybe a set of stairs that lifts up to like go to a secret like mid-level between the basement and the main floor, stuff like that. I've always wanted. I know it would be expensive, obviously, but if I were ever set like a really high life goal, it would be to have a house with secret passageways and hidden stuff. And there we are, coming along another temple. I love how it has the gate solely for the sake of having a gate. Borderline superfluous gate, but it's beautiful and it adds to the atmosphere. One of the very first times that I came out to Toyama area was on the very first big TOKYOLENS road trip, like back in, I think, 2018 or something like that. We ended up calling it the Unnamed Adventure. It was originally going to be the Abandoned Adventure. We hit up the statues, the creepy Furei Sekibutsu no Sato statues, and we hit up, there was a beautiful little island nearby here. I'll link the entire playlist if you're interested in seeing that, but we hit Doi Station, Japan's deepest train station, and just went around checking stuff out. And I always kind of wanted to come back and do more exploring and hang out with the crows, who are just like, hey, I want to be a part of this. See? They really want to be a part of it. And as we do this, it's starting to get to the point where people are coming out and making their way to school and work and everything like that. So we might start getting people soon. Right now, it is 7:43 a.m. here in Toyama. But the first time I came out, it was very go, go, go. We passed through Toyama basically. We managed to stop at 2 spots. And then the second time was to make the BBS inside the Japanese factory video. And again, a very short trip where we didn't really have the opportunity to explore that much. It was get there, make the video, and head back. And so I've been saying for the longest time that I want to come back and get to know the area. One of the best parts of Toyama that unfortunately you won't really see during this walk is Toyama is very close to the Japanese Alps, and Toyama is actually one of the places where you can get one of the best views of the Japanese Alps ever. And the roads leading into Toyama and out of Toyama have some of the most gorgeous mountain views I have seen in any country in my entire life. I would say probably the most beautiful views I've seen would be, you know, looking out at the mountains in Italy was quite amazing, but this area definitely compares. And we've come across another little shrine here. I'm loving the trees. Just absolutely loving the trees. And the mountain roads, Alps, and the mountain exploration that you can do out in this area compares to almost nothing else. There's an entire series of mountain climbing explorations and paths that I want to show you guys in the mountains. I have a photographer friend who lives out in between Nagano and Toyama area and often comes out and does mountain exploration and shares their photography through their Instagram account. And every single time they post something in a story or share a post, I find myself DMing them and being like, where is this? You gotta tell me where this is. And there's something about this house and all its little add-ons that I really like. But every single time they post something, I'm like, I need to know where this is. So I've built up this collection of spots, and they're all deep in the mountains. They're all places that you would have to traverse to, drive a couple hours, and then hike an hour to 2 hours up into the mountains just to get to. But you get these incredible, I like, all I'm saying is it's beautiful, it's beautiful, it's beautiful in a way that I can't really describe without showing you. So eventually the TOKYOLENS Explorer may find us doing long form videos where we climb up Japanese mountains and do some exploration up there, if that would be a fun thing. I've been hesitant about doing hiking or mountain climbing videos simply because in a walk like this one here, we have the opportunity to have constantly changing scenery. Oh, there's so many choices. Which way do we go? Which way do we go? We're gonna go this way. And the constantly changing scenery gives us more of an exploratory vibe, and we get to see and experience more things visually together, whereas on the mountain it could just be an hour straight of pretty much the same scenery. And so if I can figure out a good format, maybe where we share key moments along the way and turn that into a long form video, maybe hang out at the hut and do it as a bit of a podcast or something, because podcasts are also something that I've wanted to add to this channel as I get back into the swing of doing the TOKYOLENS podcast on a semi-regular basis. We will almost certainly, literally every direction, we'll almost certainly have the opportunity to do some video podcasts. Actually, I like the way this looks, so we're going to go back this way and back down that street over there. And so the video podcasts here on the Explorer channel are also something that I'd love to do. Sit down maybe with guests or take walks with guests like we did with Mitch in the last video. To me, that was much closer to being a podcast than it was to being a recorded video, if you will. It's just so information heavy, and there was so much to see and learn and explore. So I really enjoyed that. Gozaimasu. Everyone, just the smiles, they're so friendly. Look at this. As a general rule, the narrower the street, the more likely it is for me to go down it. So coming back here just brings me into a nice narrow street. I'd love to give you guys a peek at the shamisen shop if we can find it, but my guess is that when we get there, the shutters are probably still gonna be closed. We got lucky enough that the gentleman who runs the shop opened up early so that we could come in and do some exploration and just kind of play around in the shop. We got to hear an instrument that I've never heard live before in Japan. Got a beautiful little performance. And then we spent probably another hour just hanging out, playing around with shamisen together. And it was just so much fun. Just so much fun. The shamisen drives so much of my life here in Japan. And this channel, the TOKYOLENS channel, none of it would exist if I hadn't chose to follow that path and go down the road of the shamisen life. Also, this close to hiragana, close to kanji, can't really, I love those older characters. Every now and then you'll see an older hiragana where it's a cross between hiragana and like the kanji that it was based off of. And I always like trying to guess and learn what they are. I've learned quite a few along the way, don't know all of them. And right here, what have we got here? Just a little... Also, I have a weird love for these mirrors. The square ones are nice, but I really love the round orange mirrors that they have here in Japan. And I've long said that if I get a bigger office than what I have right now, I just want to have one of those mirrors in the office. Don't know why, just kind of like a display. Just like them. They're often used like this so that you can see into the roads off to the side when things are super narrow. That way you know if cars are coming. And you can hear me slowing down in terms of speech. And it's because as we get down these narrow streets here, the hunger of the morning is starting to hit, and it is starting to hit hard. It is about 10 to 8 in the morning right now as I am doing this walk, and the hunger is striking very, very hard. I'd love to just go grab something and eat, but I've got to grab Kiki from the hotel and get on the road. We're currently taking a look at little spots along the way that we might be able to make one more shamisen video. They've been putting in so much work into their shamisen performances and trying to capture and share as much of it as possible. For a while, we kind of ran out of time to make shamisen videos, and so we had stopped making them. Just kind of put them aside. Gozaimasu. And lately we've decided, you know what, we're just gonna have to like physically make the time to do the videos. And so that's what we have been doing. Somehow this has dumped us back out on a main road area. I clearly broke my rule of following the smallest streets possible. We'll make our way back eventually. Right near the shamisen shop itself, there is a really nice little temple or shrine that I haven't yet had the opportunity to explore and want to go check out. I started my day with a giant coffee from Lawson. See, up until now, the coffees that are available at convenience stores in Japan have been small at best. There's like the small coffee, then you got like a medium coffee, but now they have what they call the mega coffee, which is actually, it's bigger than my hand. It was just a giant coffee. And so this is the Iwase Elementary School. And in Japan, the elementary schools are often used as evacuation points. You see, they build the buildings to a much stricter code for schools in Japan so that A, the children who go there are safe, and B, so that they can be used in the case of evacuations and earthquakes and everything like that. So if you are in Japan and there is a major earthquake or some kind of warning, and you don't need to get to particularly high ground, if it's just an earthquake and you need to evacuate, finding a nearby elementary school is usually a pretty safe bet. That'll be used as an evacuation center, and it usually has an open enough space, which you can't see with all the trees. There we go. It usually has an open enough space that you can stand without being particularly concerned with falling debris. Even these more major roads in this area are quite nice. But I will say the one thing that has, I guess it shouldn't surprise me, but kind of surprises me about Toyama is the amount of car traffic. No matter what time of day you are driving, the road is absolutely filled with cars all the time. Again, there's a lot of car culture based here in Toyama, but just the amount of cars on the road at all times, and the amount of tiny little like train stations like this one here, you almost wouldn't even notice that it's there. There are a ton of these like little off the beaten path tiny train stations with these little platforms where you're driving and all of a sudden you realize that almost right beside you is the train tracks. There's lots of trams. This one here is the port tram coming out to the port area, and the trams are built all throughout the city as well. I always like a city with good tram transportation and good morning bus. I will say there is a surprising and very evident lack of pigeons in this area. It's almost suspicious. And so when I started the video, I talked about how we're in the Higashi Iwase area, and that station there behind us was the Higashi Iwase station. Since we're right near the water, if you look up there, don't know how well you can see them. There's a hawk up there, birds of prey. They, if you have ever been out to the area of Kamakura, you have to be careful when you're walking and carrying any kind of food, because the hawks there have gotten so used to people and are so aware of the fact that people will carry food, especially during festivals, that the hawks will actually swoop right out of the sky, grab the food from you, and take off. I think back in maybe 2011, 2012, I had gone down to Kamakura for a festival with a good friend of mine. Ooh, tiny street. And there was like 3 of us walking in a row. He was in the middle and he had just purchased like a burrito or something from the kombini. And he opens it up And he's in the midst of taking the wrapper garbage and putting it in his back pocket while holding it with the other hand. And all of a sudden, we feel like we're getting slapped in the ear by like a fabric bag or something. And he goes, "What the?" And we look, and this hawk had just swooped down between us, stolen his burrito, and flew away. Oh, look at that. So this is a Redhorse. So it's like a retro museum. And it's one of the things that, you know, if we'd come out during a later time of the day, it would have been really fun to explore. But it's also just cool to know that this is here. A retro museum. Kind of love that. It's super tiny. Also, who else just wants this sign? I want that sign. Just carry it along with me when I go on my road trips. No bears allowed on the road trips. And now we're into the area with all the tiny streets. So yeah, if you ever go out to the area of Kamakura, you need to be super careful, especially when carrying food, about the birds of prey out there, because they will swoop down and take it right out of your hands. The friend that we were walking with was from Kamakura, and he started laughing so hard. He's like, "Yeah, the second you started opening that, I was about to tell you, and it was already too late." He's like, "What, is this a regular occurrence?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's pretty much a daily part of Kamakura life to have a bird steal your food." Okay, gotta figure out which way we're gonna go. Doesn't look like there's any bad options, but I'll tell you right now, we are quickly running low on battery. We have like 10% battery left, and I thought it would be really nice if I'd actually be able to find the car and get back to where the shamisen shop is before the battery dies on this. But I'm starting, oh, narrow street, gotta go down it. But I'm really starting to have my doubts about whether or not we're gonna make it back. As I walk, I'm gonna open up Google Maps and start looking, because I've just basically been walking with no direction or purpose. Also, look at that driving skill, even with the new driver sticker on there. No problem. Like, can you imagine parking there? Oh, now every time the screen goes off into battery saver mode, I'm like, oh no, did the battery just die? I feel like we're getting closer to the streets that we want to be on. I feel like we still might be 1 or 2 streets off, but I really don't know. Oh, honestly, I have no idea. We're just taking a shot in the dark. I feel like we're walking in the right direction. I really want to get back before the battery dies. But also, I can't entirely trust the because the memory card's also saying that it has like 8 minutes of space left. And we've had it just fill up during times like that before. So I am quickly trying to Google to see if I can't find where I am. Okay. Okay, we are nowhere near the shamisen shop. We're somehow walking in the opposite direction. It's way back that way. Like, way back that way. I have overshot it by a long shot. So, since we're about to lose battery and memory card both at the same time, I am going to start wrapping this video up here. Again, in the comments when the video wraps up, let me know if you are more partial to the live 720p streams, or if you like these walks that we can enjoy in 4K afterwards. I've really enjoyed spending this morning with you guys. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it as well. To everybody who joined during, as well as everybody who's watching after, thank you so much for joining. I hope the rest of your day is absolutely beautiful, and you know I will talk to you again real soon. Battery literally just hit 0.